Are you tired of all the self-improvement advice out there that just doesn't work? You set goals, make plans, even get all motivated, but then life happens and suddenly you're right back where you started. You feel frustrated, disappointed, and maybe even a little bit lost. I know exactly how you feel because I used to be the same way. I spent years searching for the secrets to success and happiness, devouring books, attending seminars, and trying out every new technique that came across my radar. But nothing seemed to stick. I would get excited about something for a few days or weeks, but then I would lose steam and go back to my old habits. How can you finally break free from this cycle and make real progress in your life? Well, in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to give you a self-improvement guide that actually works. It is based on the latest research in psychology and neuroscience, and it has been proven effective by some of the most successful people in the world. This is the self-improvement guide that changed everything for me, and I hope it does the same for you. Let's dive in. Step 1. Forget big goals. Focus on small habits. You won't become a great writer by writing one amazing essay. You won't become financially successful by landing one big client, and you won't transform your body by working out once intensely. Becoming successful at anything is not about one big breakthrough. It's about making small, steady progress over time. We tend to think that extraordinary results come from extraordinary efforts, but the truth is that it's the small, consistent habits that make the biggest difference. That's why you won't find any goal-setting exercises or magic formulas in this guide. Instead, we're going to focus on the small habits that compound over time to create extraordinary results. So if you want to make real progress in your life, forget about big goals and focus on small habits. Now let's move on to step 2. Step 2. Become who you want to be. Don't try to do what you want to do. Most self-improvement advice is based on the idea that we can change our actions to change our outcomes. For example, if you want to be more productive, they'll tell you to use a productivity app. If you want to be healthier, they'll tell you to eat less junk food. But here's the problem with that advice. It's backward. It's like trying to change the leaves of a tree without changing the roots. You can't change your outcomes until you change who you are. And no, I'm not talking about changing your personality or becoming someone you're not. I'm talking about changing your identity. Your identity is the lens through which you see the world. It's the story you tell yourself about yourself. For example, if you're a student, you see yourself as a learner. If you're an athlete, you see yourself as strong and disciplined. And if you're a friend, you see yourself as loyal and trustworthy. The problem is that many of us have an identity crisis. We don't know who we are or what we stand for, and that's why we struggle to make lasting changes in our lives. If you want to change your outcomes, you have to change your identity first. And that's what we're going to focus on in step 2 of this guide. Now let's move on to step 3. Do it now. Are you always overthinking things? Do you find yourself constantly worrying about what could go wrong or second-guessing your decisions? Overthinking can be a real productivity killer, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. But there is a simple trick that has helped me overcome overthinking and take action quickly. It's called the 3-second rule. When you feel the urge to overthink something, just count down from 3 in your head and then do whatever you are about to do. For example, if you want to work out but you're overthinking whether you should do cardio or weights, just count down from 3 and then get up and do 1 push-up. You may think that it's too simple to work, but it's actually based on a psychological principle called implementation intention. It's the idea that when you pair a specific behavior with a trigger, you make it easier to take action. In other words, the 3-second rule helps. You stop overthinking by creating a clear link between a trigger and a specific behavior. By counting down from 3, you create a clear signal that it's time to take action. And when you do, you stop overthinking and start doing. Give it a try. Next time you want to do something but you're overthinking it, just count down from 3 and do it. You may be surprised at how much it helps. Now let's move on to step 4. Step 4. Stop being a perfectionist. Done is better than perfect. Do you have a hard time finishing things? Are you always striving for perfection but never quite getting there? Then you might be a perfectionist. And here's the thing. Perfectionism is often just procrastination in disguise. When we're perfectionists, we tend to overthink everything and we're always looking for the perfect solution. But that just leads to delays and missed opportunities. So here's a simple rule to help you overcome perfectionism. Remember that done is better than perfect. Don't let the pursuit of perfection get in the way of actually finishing things. Of course, it's important to strive for excellence, but it's also important to know when to stop. The 70% rule is a useful tool for this. If something is 70% good, release it. That means that if you've done 70% of the work and it's good enough, it's time to move on to the next thing. This rule can be especially helpful when you're working on creative projects. For example, if you're writing a book, you could easily spend months or even years trying to make it perfect. But if you apply the 70% rule, you might finish the book in a fraction of the time and still have something that is good enough. Now let's move on to step 5. Step 5. Stop procrastinating. Do it in 5 minutes. Are you always putting things off until the last minute? Do you find yourself constantly saying, I'll do it later or I'll get to it tomorrow? Procrastination is a common problem that can affect anyone, but if you want to make real progress in your life, you have to stop procrastinating. Fortunately, there's a simple rule that can help you do just that. It's called the 5-minute rule. If a task takes less than 5 minutes to do, get it done right away. For example, If you get an email that needs a quick response, answer it right away. If you need to do a quick calculation, do it right away. If you notice that the 5-minute rule can be especially helpful when you're faced with a large task, for example, if you need to write a long report, you might be tempted to put it off for another day. But if you apply the 5-minute rule, you'll start the report right away, even if it's just for 5 minutes. The 5-minute rule helps you overcome procrastination by breaking down tasks into smaller chunks. When you're faced with a large task, you might feel overwhelmed and unsure where to start. But when you break the task down into smaller chunks, it becomes more manageable and you're more likely to take action. Plus, when you complete each small task, you build momentum and motivation to keep going. So if you want to stop procrastinating and start making progress, try the 5-minute rule. And before we part ways, here's the final takeaway. Self-improvement isn't about waiting for motivation. It's about taking action now. Small habits compound into big results. Become who you want to be, not what you want to do. Stop overthinking. Do it now. Stop being a perfectionist. Done is better than perfect. Stop procrastinating. Do it in 5 minutes. Those are the 5 steps to success. I challenge you to put them into practice starting today. Comment below which step you'll start with and subscribe for more videos just like this one. I'm rooting for you. Now go make me proud.